Hi, welcome to Escape into a Cause, the podcast inspiring Central Texans to turn good intentions into impact. I'm Stephanie Dyer, a philanthropic rookie, learning how to give back with a little help from my expert friends. Together, we'll share stories of local nonprofits, explore ways to connect, and encourage everyone to step up, unplug, and make a difference. Let's dive in and escape into a cause. Hey, Courtney.
Hey, Steph.
Okay, later today, we are going to escape into Austin Sunshine Camp. They give kids from low-income families the chance to experience summer adventures and personal growth for free. I'm really excited to talk about this. Young Men's Service League, YMSL, the Mom Son League is where all the boys say that this is by far their favorite nonprofit to work with.
Oh, very
they
cool.
love playing with the kids. But first, a topic that's very different.
Very.
Celebrity foundations.
Yes.
Throughout the years, it's been a hot topic, and sometimes it trends hotter than before. I can tell just based off my research that 2011 to 2014, it was a real hot topic. All of the articles were from that period of time, so I'm sure there was a lot of questioning.
Yeah.
So I actually don't know how much has changed in very recent years because a lot of the articles were actually written about 10 years ago.
And you weren't able to find any sort of recent research.
All the research I found today was just telling me the celebrities that have them and not so much the other side of it, which we'd be cautious about or just educating about celebrity foundations. But I actually did this because my dad was very interested. He's like, I want to know about these celebrity foundations.
I think it's a great question. I think most people are curious. Like, we know they're out there. Celebrities do talk about them from time to time, or you'll hear about an event that supports a celebrities foundation, but you don't really know what are the size of those foundations in terms of their budget, who are the beneficiaries, how many celebrities have them. So I think there's a lot of mystery there.
And it's the one thing that brings Avril Lavigne, Madonna, John Legend, Shakira, Elton John, Michael J. Fox, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Alec Baldwin. All these celebrities have foundations. And the list goes on. So this is like that one thread of, other than being a celebrity, they all have these foundations. So the question is, are they good? What did we talk about when trusting giving dollars?
Yes.
Efficient, effective, transparent were the things that I really wanted to see my dollars go towards. Okay, so many reasons celebrity would want to start a foundation. What do you think some of those reasons are?
Oh, I think it gives an altruistic side of them. You see them as very wealthy individuals in the top 0.5% of American wealth. And so it looks good to be doing philanthropic work with the dollars that you're receiving. I'd like to say that some are passionate about a particular cause. You think about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Those people really are putting their work where their mouth is.
But talk about self-serving. Bill Gates is a PR nightmare. A lot of young people don't understand the litigation behind the monopoly and Microsoft and how he really needed to improve his image. And this was one of those levers for public image that they pulled. And it's one of those things that I said, Courtney, if it's self-serving, who cares? Because once you do it, it just trickles down and you feel good and you want to do more.
And now that thing, it is probably one of the largest foundations in America, if not in the world, and the commitment that people have made to give a portion of their wealth to the foundation, the work that it's doing. And
it's incredible. I think it's over $60 billion last time I checked.
It's insane. So that's a great example. And the one that we hear about quite often, even though it's from sort of someone who's a little bit quieter. And now I think his full-time job is the foundation and the work that they're doing in third world countries, and specifically, I think, around water access and safe water. But
so we know celebrity foundations aren't all bad.
Some
of them are doing a lot of good work.
Of the celebrities that you mentioned, Donna has a foundation. Avril Lavigne, what do they do?
And again, I told you these are from like 2014.
I know, right?
Avril might not have a foundation more. And actually, that was one of the things that they said was celebrities, say like Nicolas Cage, he had a foundation and then there was zero activity after a while. Where they get excited about something and then it drops.
Yeah, they got their press release and then they were out.
That's right. So you have public image, which we know some of these reasons, whether they're self-serving or not. Tax relief is definitely one of them. But ultimately, if they go towards a good cause efficiently, effectively, and there's transparency. Now, I say transparency if they're asking for public funds.
Yes.
If it's their own funds, really, it doesn't need to be transparent.
And the funds of other celebrities. Agreed. Yeah. And so to your point, do we care about what the motivation is if the end result is doing good and making a difference?
I'm going to be honest, I don't care.
That's okay.
I think if they're doing it for themselves, like the Gates Foundation, I think the work is being done. So feeling good, solving a problem that they care about, you nailed it. And one of the pros, of course, is star awareness. They have a platform. They can raise more awareness and dollars towards a charity that they care about.
Correct.
And we're talking about causes that people care about. Michael J. Fox, Parkinson's.
Absolutely.
So there's things that you're like, that makes sense. So many reasons, but the reality is not all celebrity foundations are created equal. Are you excited to learn with me, Courtney?
Yes.
I'm so glad you're excited for this. There's 3 different types of charities. One is your classic 501c3 public charity. This is your traditional charity for public benefit. Some examples: Drew Breestream Foundation, Elton John's AIDS Foundation, Peyton Manning's Payback, P-E-Y, little pun,
of course,
great.
precious.
Payback Foundation. Those are all 501c3 public charities. You can go look up the Form 990. Transparency, right?
Transparency.
I can't speak to effectiveness or efficiency. You have to go look into it, but it's all there. Then the second one is 501c3 private foundation. Again, created by a family or small group of individuals. Small number of sources and investment income, but the main activity is making grants to other charity orgs. So those are also appreciated and valued. Some examples between these two that are really efficient, and I love to hear this. Steve Martin had one where he gave $400,000 and his overhead was $329. Alec Baldwin Foundation, at some point in time, he gave $555,000. His overhead was $215. David Letterman gave $1.2 million. It said there was $25 in overhead. These are fantastic, efficient ways to give back. Some of the less efficient ones that actually fall into these 2 buckets, I should have looked more into this because I don't think this is a nonprofit anymore, but Oprah's Angel Network. This is in like 2014, 2015. They had 37% overhead. And what did we say? 20 to 25% is ideal.
That's right.
But small nonprofits can't always obtain that. But these larger ones, when you're giving $10 million, they should be able to.
Yeah.
So the larger you are, the more you expect that to be in line is my take so far.
Yes.
Rosie O'Donnell for All Kids Foundation, 64% overhead, including hundreds of thousands of dollars of unspecified management fees.
That's not good. That's not transparent.
And then you know what the worst are is sports fundraisers. So these sports fundraisers, I don't know, the Bob Hope golf tournament, he was a legendary entertainer. They said that their expenses were more than the revenue.
Probably. Not cheap putting on a golf tournament. Just
public image.
Yes.
Fantastic. But is it really giving back? But those are the good ones. At least we had transparency to say, guess what? Those were not efficient use. But the third, so we have 501c3 public, 501c3 private foundation, and then we have donor advised funds.
Yes, DAFs.
So DAFs usually are a very effective, efficient way to streamline your charitable giving.
Correct.
What Charity Navigator and Charity Watch both say is that the more cautionary tale is when these DAFs are asking for public funds from you and me, because they are not required to have the same transparency.
No.
They're not required to say how efficient their dollars are. Some of these are Leonardo DiCaprio, Jamie Foxx, Ben Roethlisberger. So it's a charitable giving savings account, and then it goes to 2 different charities. 2 popular sponsors of celebrity DAFs are 1, the Giving Back Fund, and 2, the California Community Foundation, the CCF. And when you go look at their websites, it's very much more efficient, and this is an effective use of your dollars, and they're really speaking to celebrities to use them because they get a fee. The CCF, again, this is a little bit outdated information, but they were getting maybe 4 stars or something, so it looked good, but you have no idea what the fund is actually doing.
That's correct.
The biggest example at the time was Leonardo DiCaprio Fund, so LDF. Charity Watch was unsuccessful in getting the LDF or the CCF, which was their sponsor, to respond to any fundamental questions related to transparency or accountability. They raised a lot of money from 1998 to 2014. There were $60 million in grants, which sounds great, but they have all these huge galas. And they have all these huge events that go through the LDF. When I hear the Alec Baldwin Foundation, the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, from my point of view, when I'm being told to raise funds for those, which ones are which? Are they a 501c3 private foundation or are they a DAF?
They all sound the same.
You don't know.
But you don't know. Research. You've got to do the research.
I didn't know any of this until I actually looked into it.
Well, it's interesting. I would never have thought of DAF as the vehicle that people are using to fundraise. So my only interactions and involvement with DAFs are when I have asked friends to donate to something. So for example, I was up for the local Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Woman of the Year. That's their big fundraiser. And I would ask friends and family to donate to my campaign, which all the funds went to LLS, and many of them gave through their DAFs. So to your point, there's a lot of families who have created DAFs, a savings account, and they as a family decide, how are we going to apply our DAF? And really, it's interesting when they would send money, they would basically connect me with their account with the directive of, hey, give this amount of money from our DAF. And the DAF would come in the way of a wire. And so it really is great tracking and reporting from, to your point, tax deductible giving. I've never seen it where someone has said, pay into my DAF so that we can grant out. And the fact that was a vehicle that celebrities were using, it's a different use of a DAF than I've ever experienced.
Yeah, and there's a lot of celebrities that use these DAFs. I just don't know. I don't have it in front of me of whether they've asked for funds, but we know the Leonardo DiCaprio Fund has in the past. It's a huge thing for athletes. Yao Ming in the NBA. We have Jamie Foxx. We have a lot of athletes that I don't know that I'm sure listeners would know. And they actually said that a lot of these athlete foundations are some of the more inefficient. So just research. And I think to your point, it was like maybe golf tournaments and stuff. So pros and cons. So the pros are, if you're a family and you're using a DAF, it makes sense because you don't have all the compliance requirements of a nonprofit, which are time consuming and ineffective use of your funds. And so I think if a celebrity is saying, give to my foundation, go see what the foundation is. Is it a 501c3 foundation? If not, why don't you just go give straight to the nonprofit that you care about?
And so that's where I fall on these foundations. It is a bit of an image play and their name gets associated with it and that looks good. But I do feel, and I think given other topics we were talking about where formal volunteerism is down, giving is down, we're seeing tax benefits associated with charitable contributions down. I think we're just going to have to see a lot of consolidation in this space. Dear celebrities, instead of creating your own foundation with your name attached to it that is solving a problem, look out and see, are there other organizations out there that are already trying to solve that problem? And should we consolidate in that space? For example, when I was on the board for Susan G. Komen here in Austin, there was often a question of, hey, we also have Breast Cancer Research Center, BCRC, which both do phenomenal work. Both are trying to support patients who are fighting breast cancer, and Susan G. Komen a little bit more on the research side, but we would talk about consolidation opportunities. And so I would encourage celebrities that are listening out there, before you create your own foundation, are there other organizations who are doing it with such efficiency and such transparency that you could actually consolidate the efforts and give your fortune and raise money using your platform for those organizations that already exist and are already out there doing similar work.
More efficient. I actually don't know if Kristen Bell has a foundation. She probably has a DAF herself, but she's always raising funds directly to the nonprofit when she's speaking on her social media. That gives her the public image.
I agree.
And she doesn't have to deal with, do I need to get friends or family to work at my nonprofit to make it functioning? There's been a couple of examples where celebrities actually didn't know what they were getting into when they signed up for something. So just use your platform to say, give straight to this nonprofit. So I think we're both on the same page there. Again, 501c3s, give to them. You have transparency. You can see what's going to the program. You can see the expenses. I think that's it.
And for all of our celebrity listeners, consolidate.
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 But even nonprofits, sometimes it makes sense.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
I've thought about that before.
Yeah. And I've appreciated when I've seen it. Like, for example, 2 counties right next to each other in Central Texas doing the same thing. And you're like, consolidate. And you actually have seen that. And they brought in their name to whatever it is, Central Texas, as opposed to Travis County or Williamson County. You're like, yes, this makes sense. And now you combine your efforts, you combine your resources, you amplify your voice. You could have events in both counties so that people don't have to, but
it's called economies of scale.
Yes. Right? Yes.
All right. Okay. So, okay with donating to celebrity foundations, just do your research. And Charity Watch and Charity Navigator both encourage you to just give straight to the 501c3.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Court.
Thanks, Steph.
We'll be right back. Escape into a Cause is sponsored by Nightlight Insurance Agency. You know how a nightlight gives you comfort and peace of mind in the dark? That's exactly what Nightlight aims to do. Guide you through life's uncertainties with personalized insurance for your home, auto, business, and more. Nightlight Insurance strives to provide its clients the best coverage at the best price without sacrificing on customer service. Here's what one client had to say. Nightlight was able to lower our car insurance significantly, answered all our questions, and returned our calls promptly. Very professional, would highly recommend. So it's no surprise Nightlight has a 5-star rating on Google. Nightlight also makes this podcast possible by covering production costs so all other sponsorship dollars and gifts can go directly to nonprofits and volunteers. And as part of their mission to give back, Nightlight proudly donates $1,000 to every nonprofit we interview. If you are a sponsor interested in giving back to our podcast, please find us on social media and let us know. Nightlight is an agency focused on personalized service and giving back. See how much you could save and how good it feels to have peace of mind by visiting nightlightinsurance.com. We are escaping into Austin Sunshine Camps, and we have David Roberts, the Chief Development Officer, here today. Hey, David.
Hey, Stephanie. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to chat with you this morning.
Yeah, I'm so excited to chat. We've already been talking for a little bit about lots of good stuff. Would love to hear a little bit about Austin Sunshine Camps.
Yeah, so Austin Sunshine Camps was founded in 1928. We create the magic of overnight camp without the barrier of cost. And so our vision is envisioning a world where every child has a place to learn, connect, and explore. Overnight camp is increasingly expensive, and we offer a 10-day, 9-night camp experience to kids in Central Texas who otherwise may not be able to afford it at no cost to them or their families. And we operate just out of Zilker Park. We've been there for, like I said, almost 100 years. And we also have a camp near Lake Travis, just in Marble Falls.
Amazing. So you are supporting Central Texas children that do not have the financial means to go off and experience summer camps.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of camp. Did you go to camp yourself?
I went to camp, loved camp.
Yeah.
Some of my best summer experiences, my son's experience last summer, he was just beaming after camp.
Yeah.
He told me, oh my gosh, that was the most incredible experience of my life. And just as a teenage boy, I don't think he was getting the social interactions that he needed just based off school and sports. But to be in camp and those close quarters together, there was like almost a brotherhood forming. And I loved that for him.
Yeah, there's a singular effect of camp in our mission statement. I just said it, where we provide the magic of overnight camp. And it's that magic that you can't really explain if you haven't experienced it for yourself or if you haven't seen the impact that it has on your kids personally. But it is an opportunity not just for them to connect with each other, but to do so away from their normal lives, away from the expectations that maybe they have and others put on them in their lives, away from technology, and to just try new things. And for our campers specifically, 90% of our campers are either on free or reduced lunch, meaning they come from low-income families. Over 40% of our campers' families make less than $30,000 a year. And about 20% of our campers are in the foster care system. So they don't really have an opportunity to go to camp and experience that very same thing if they didn't have something like Austin Sunshine Camps. And so being able to provide that experience to them is intensely rewarding. It's also just a blast. It's just so fun to do.
We'll talk about all the activities soon, but all I hear are good things. What brought you personally to the cause, David? And was there a defining moment or experience that made you want to be part of Austin Sunshine Camps?
I've always loved camp. I grew up going to camp. It was really my first memory and experience of learning how to be a leader and get out of my comfort zone and make new friends, because I went to a small school. I was seeing the same people year over year over year. Camp was the only place where I was like, I get to be whoever I want to be. And so I've always had an affection for camp. I've always credited it for some of my most formative experiences as a kid. Before the pandemic, it was like the beginning of 2020. It's like, you know what? I want to try to get more involved in my community. I want to get out of the house more. I want to do more just to make a difference in Austin. And so I started volunteering with Austin Sunshine Camps. Now, COVID hit that year. In-person camp was canceled. And so we ended up having to pivot and do this at-home camp experience, which was really cool just to demonstrate that resilience and also see in that really key moment for a lot of our campers what that meant to them to be able to have a chance to still connect with people, even though everything in the world felt like it was falling apart. And so I volunteered with Austin Sunshine Camps for the last 4 years. I still, even though I'm there full time, I volunteer with Austin Sunshine Camps. I still go to camp. And I also had the pleasure of serving on their board for a few years. And I've been constantly impressed with everything that ASC does and its mission and how much fun it is. And so I had the opportunity to change the level that I was committed, which is to say go all in, and join the team in October of last year and haven't looked back.
That just illustrates how much that ASC does. And that's what a lot of these local nonprofits experience. You start with volunteering and helping a little bit here and there, and then you realize how impactful the organization is. And you want to be part of that impact.
There's a life-changing impact that camp can have, and it comes from an organization of people and a group of supporters and volunteers and stakeholders who really believe that our campers deserve a high quality camp experience. And it is rewarding. It really is. And we're always having to pivot. And I'm so excited to experience my first summer as a staff member because, again, I've seen it as a volunteer, but I haven't had the pleasure of being able to see campers day over day, session over session, learn to trust each other, get out of their comfort zone, experience the full range of development and evolution that can happen over 10 days.
I'm excited for you.
Me too.
Going back to what you said earlier about being in the same school and around the same people, and you almost start forming your identity around how other people perceive you in that same environment year in and year out. And I do think that's something also my son really came home with, is this excitement that he felt a little bit like he not could be a different person, but he could be a little bit more flexible. Like you're figuring out your identity, who you are, and you're not around the same people who have already formed an opinion about you. And I think there's something special and unique about going outside of that box.
And that's really what it's all about. For every year, I have the pleasure of seeing Young Men's Service League volunteers. Like these kids almost develop this kinship where they're experiencing the magic of camp together at the same time. And so they're volunteering with the campers, but they also just get to bond over the fact that they are getting to do this thing and that they're a part of this wonderful opportunity to unlock new parts of themselves. But even more than that, for our campers specifically, the population that we serve, for many of them, their years when they're not at camp are full of hardship, instability, trauma, challenges and responsibilities, roadblocks that most campers at other camps around the US just don't experience or don't have. And so it's more important now than ever for us to be able to create an environment where kids can build hope for their futures, build resilience, learn to develop healthy relationships with each other and get away from all of those things in their day-to-day life that might be presenting challenges to them and just become themselves. And also just be kids and create an unforgettable memory of summer camp.
These campers are probably seeing even more of an impact than what I experienced, which the impact I experienced was significant in my life.
Camp is great for anyone and everyone, and it is unique. We provide the magic of overnight camp without the barrier of cost, and we do that because the average cost of camp around the US for a camp like ours, that is American Camp Association accredited, is nearing $4,500. And again, considering a large portion of our campers' families make $30,000 or less, that cost is prohibitive. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to be able to have that opportunity and to be able to make that investment in their kids' futures and in their lives. So we get to do that for free at no cost, provide the highest quality camp experience that they can have.
And I love that we've already been chatting through the numbers because I think they're so important, but maybe just laying it out a little bit more. There's 3 programs, correct?
Right.
So we've got camp, counselor in training, and first-time family camper days. Do you want to speak to those?
So we have our flagship program is camp, and then we have a number of other initiatives that are everything surrounding camp that make camp as impactful and as successful as it can be. Our campers are between the ages of 8 and 15. Ideally, they're with us year over year throughout that entire journey. And so we really strive to get campers to come back. About 72% come back every year. When they come back and they reach that 15-year-old point where they've experienced the life-changing impact of Austin Sunshine Camps, they've built friendships and relationships, they've experienced the safety around camp where they realize that this is a safe place for them to be themselves, chances are they've also started to develop a desire to create that same environment for their peers. And it's intensely valuable and also visibly rewarding for them and for the campers to be able to see someone that looks like them, can relate to their experiences on the other side of the camper counselor relationship. And so once they're 15, once they age out of camp, they can become what we call counselors in training. That's the ideal. We want them to do that. We want them to learn the leadership skills that it takes to stand out amongst their peers and be leaders and lead them through the experience of camp, create that safe environment that they benefited from, create that opportunity to bond and really get the most out of camp with kids who they know that they've experienced the same things, come from the same background, have the same challenges. And so from ages 15 to about 18, we will train kids to become counselors. They go through specialized leadership training. They learn all the things that you need to know to respond to crises and manage camp, and also run all the fun events that happen at camp. And so that's a key program. That's the goal. And then, of course, we hope that at the end of their tenure as a counselor in training, they then become a full-fledged counselor. And the success stories of our counselors who went through the whole thing are really inspiring and a lot of fun. And we also recognize on the other end of that, many of our campers, they've never been away from home for even a night before. They've never been to camp before. They don't really know what to expect. And as much as we love camp, and we know that they will eventually too, it can be really hard for the campers and for their families to fully embrace that experience. We also offer year-round programming. So for those campers and for their families, while they are preparing to be successful in camp and to get all that they can out of it, we give them the experience to meet some of the friendly faces that they're going to see at camp, to experience some of the games and activities that they're going to have at camp, and then also, and this is critical, their families experience it too. So that when inevitably they feel homesick and they're like, Mom and Dad, I want to go home because I am doing X, Y, and Z, and it's putting me out of my comfort zone, and I miss you, their families can at least kind of know what is going on and know what to expect and know what their camper is experiencing at camp, and they can support them in challenging themselves and in building of resilience. And they're just like having fun and embracing camp. And so it's really just getting both of them acclimated to that experience so that they can grow. Before we started doing year-round programming, before we started preparing campers for camp, close to 20% of our campers left early. And so that means for homesickness or behavior, they left before the full term of the 10 days and 9 nights of camp. Since we started offering year-round programming and prepping families and campers for camp, that number is closer to about 7%. And it goes down and down every year.
These first-time family camper days and the year-round support, you can just see the difference during the summertime when you're most active.
Yeah, it gives them an opportunity to connect with each other beforehand, to build community amongst the parents and the families. I have the pleasure of getting to talk to campers and their families and their parents who tout the impact of camp, share their story, and they will share how much it's impacted them and their child. But while I'm having those conversations with campers and parents to maybe share with our audience, I'm always hearing them talk about other camper families, other people that that parent met during camp, that camper met during camp, that they've continued to be friends in their life and their school after the fact. That's always really rewarding to hear because it validates our mission in knowing that it's not just about what happens at camp, but it's about everything that happens afterwards and in between.
I love that there's the program for camp, and I feel like when you're a young camper, you're getting that sense of community, which is so important. But then once you become a counselor in training or a CIT or a counselor, you're able to give back.
Absolutely.
And there's this ownership and this mentorship, and you're having fun. You have the sense of community as well, but you have that extra layer of I'm purposeful, I'm meaningful.
It's rewarding to a whole other level, and it gives them some responsibility and ownership of the camp experience. Like Austin Sunshine Camps belongs to them, and it belongs to kids like them. And so they take that experience, they remember what it was like to be scared and uncertain on day one, and they just can't wait to have their own cabin of campers that they can guide through that journey.
And just real quick, you already mentioned some of these numbers. You said about 20% of children have been through the foster care system, I believe. 40% of campers' families make less than $30,000 a year. Almost all qualify for free or reduced lunch. And 2 out of 3 have single-parent households.
Yeah, roughly like 70% are single-parent households.
Yeah, it's so important. Many kids qualify. So sometimes there's a question of, okay, is a nonprofit efficient, effective, transparent? But the question also is there a need? Is there a true need that the nonprofit is serving? And the answer is yes, because we know all the benefits of camp. We know our experiences if you have been at camp, but also 40,000 kids qualify for this camp, but you can only serve 500 at ASC.
Yeah, we do 4 sessions at both of our camps every summer where we're serving as many campers as we possibly can with a high quality camp experience. We're able to serve just over 500 through that summer. But as you said, 40,000 kids in Central Texas would qualify for our programs, whether because they're on free or reduced lunch or because they're in the foster care system. So the need is huge. It's also why we open our application and within a couple weeks every year, we're booked. but there's a need to continue to grow. And we are relying on the Austin community to continue to support our mission, but also continue to support our aspirations to take what we are doing for these 500 campers and do it for more and more kids every year.
So how is this becoming sustainable? How are you able to give camp 100% free?
We are able to provide camp at no cost to the families because we have so many people in Austin who do love us and believe in this mission and believe in the life-changing power of camp. And so we have a few fundraising events throughout the year. We do a luncheon, not a gala, like it is intentionally modest. It's campy. It's just paper plates in the middle of Zilker Park. We do that every spring. And so we just had that a couple weeks ago. But then we also partner with the Young Men's Business League. So YMBL actually founded Austin Sunshine Camps almost 100 years ago. Now we're our own separate entities, but they've continued to be really great champions of ASC. And so the Young Men's Business League puts on 2 events every year that benefit us and allow us to provide camp at no cost. And those are the Austin Sunshine Run, which is a 5K and 10K, and also fastest dog in Austin competition or race. And so all the proceeds from that benefit ASC. And then we also put on the Austin Under 40 Awards. And so that's recognizing professionals in Austin under the age of 40. It's a professional celebratory event of these people that are making a difference in their community. But again, all the proceeds from that event benefit ASC. Those are all of the events that we do that make it happen. We also have a circle of supporters called our Sunshine Keepers. And Sunshine Keepers commit to giving a gift monthly or annually to support the sustained mission of Austin Sunshine Camps. So when we go into a year and when we go into a summer, we need to know how many campers we can serve. We need to know if we're going to be able to serve 500 campers this summer, or if we're going to be able to provide that top tier camp experience to fewer campers because we just don't have the reliable budget to make it happen. And so our Sunshine Keepers give us a guaranteed way where we know going in, hey, we know before the year has even started that we have funding for 500 campers. And so every time we have a new Sunshine Keeper sign up to give what is now, it's about $1,500 a year to send a kid to camp per camper. So if we have them sign up to give monthly or annually to commit to that is another camper who gets to have that life-changing experience because of that supporter. And so we've been growing that program year over year. That is the best way for somebody who loves camp, who loves Austin Sunshine Camps, who wants to be able to reach another camper. That's the best way for them to support us.
Reoccurring donations are great because they're unrestricted and they are, right, like you said, they're guaranteed. So just putting something, even if it's small, as a reoccurring donation, I know that it's really meaningful to a lot of nonprofits.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'd take it a step further too. Our Sunshine Keepers aren't just financial support for Austin Sunshine Camps. They are also our greatest champions and advocates. I am humbled, honored, touched by every single person that I get to interact with every single day who took time out of their day and regularly takes time out of their day to spread the word about ASC with somebody else, who takes time to introduce families to camp and make sure that they can attend in the future, who introduces us to people who can make an impact, provide funding opportunities or just opportunities for us to grow and expand.
Where do you see the cause in 5 years? Are there any goals or dreams that ASC is working towards?
Absolutely. We envision a world where all children have a place to grow, connect, and explore. To do that, we need to grow. We talked about the 40,000 kids in Central Texas that qualify for our camp. I don't know if in 5 years we're going to be able to serve 40,000, but we certainly want to be serving more than we're able to right now. We have some ambitious growth goals. To get there, it requires building more sustainability, getting more volunteers, getting more Sunshine Keepers, getting more people who believe in the mission who can advocate for us on a larger scale. But it also involves meeting the right people at the right time who can connect us to new opportunities. I certainly see us being able to expand to another location, have another camp like ours, but more than anything, also look like us being leaders in this space. To our knowledge, we are the only camp in the US that is providing a high quality American Camp Association accredited camp experience that's 10 days or any length of time, an overnight camp experience at no cost to anyone who attends. We're the only ones doing this. There are other groups that are serving our population in other ways or in more limited ways, but we have an opportunity to be leaders in also teaching other camps that don't look like ours, that aren't exactly our model, how to serve our campers. And so that's what I see for us in the future is serving more campers and also just helping the overnight camp industry serve our campers.
I really hope that y'all y'all are able to expand and grow because y'all are doing great things. I want to talk real quick about a story
Yeah.
that connects us
Yeah.
with ASC. Do you have a story
Sure.
to share?
There's one story in particular that is on my mind right now. I was just talking to him the other day, and he had the opportunity to share his story with some of our supporters as well. He's a camper named Theo, and Theo first started going to camp, I want to say it was just about 5 years ago. And when Theo learned about camp, he was really struggling in school and at home. Theo is what's known as twice exceptional. While he is extremely bright and has great ambitions for his future, he also struggles with bipolar disorder and a number of other mental health challenges have made life pretty difficult for him. And when he came to camp, he was scared. He was nervous. He was in a place where he really didn't have any trust in his peers, in himself. And especially after years of experiencing bullying in school, he was very wary of this new group of people that he was kind of meant to trust right away and that he was meant to challenge himself alongside. And when he came to camp his first year, he didn't think he was going to stay the whole time. And he told everybody who would listen that he wasn't going to stay the whole time. He was quiet, he was reserved, and he really didn't come into his own. But by day 8 of the 10 days, he kept trying to go home. He kept trying to say that it was time for him to leave. But the counselors and the camp director encouraged him to stay, to find it in himself to stay. And he stayed 8 days, which is more than he expected. But after day 8, his first year, he did go home. And he didn't see it as a failure. He saw it as an opportunity to do better next year. And so he went home. He continued to live his life, faced a lot of the same challenges that he faces every day. And then when he came back for year 2, he made it the whole time. And then he came back for year 3 and he made it the whole time. And he continued to experience a lot of growth for him and for his family. Austin Sunshine Camps was a safe place for him to learn, grow, connect, and build a community unlike anything that he'd ever had before. Today, Theo is going into his second year as a counselor in training. He went from the kid who was quiet, reserved, uncertain, really not wanting to stay at camp and certainly not wanting to connect with anybody at camp, to being the first smiling face last year on the first day of camp, greeting all of the other campers who were there. He now is that counselor in training who's able to see himself and see his former self and his challenges in the campers that he's able to kind of shepherd through the experience. And he's providing that experience to a whole cabin of campers every year. I don't have a better story of how much camp can change lives, but Theo's not alone. And it doesn't work if Theo's alone because he knows that all of his peers have similar stories. He knows that all of them have had their own struggles, their own challenges, and that camp is a place where they can bond through unlocking new opportunities for themselves and building hope and resilience for their future. We've been around for 97 years, and I am constantly amazed at how often I get the pleasure and opportunity to meet people that went to camp even like 30 years ago at Austin Sunshine Camps. We actually, for the first time now, even have a board member who's on the board of the Austin Sunshine Camps who started off as a camper. That cycle where he's able to bring his experiences from long ago and now shape the strategic direction of this camp for the next generation of campers is magical.
That's beautiful. The full circle journey. And Theo,
Yeah.
I don't know him, but I'm very proud of him because
Absolutely.
just hearing that he's a teen, correct?
Right, he's a teen.
17.
Yeah.
Without ASC, would he have been able to go up in front of 100 people and talk about his challenges and talk with others?
When I think of Theo too, and I'm inspired and proud of him, I also think of his mom. Her name is Sky, and she stood on that stage right next to him, and she also speaks to what she's seen and the differences in him that she's seen. I do know like camp hasn't just changed him, it's changed her too. It's changed their whole family. And so when we think about all of the challenges that a lot of our camper families face, I'm really proud to know that camp can be a place that provides all of them hope and joy and fun and an opportunity to do something new. Over 82% of our campers say that camp helped them be successful in other areas of their lives. And that stat really moves me because, again, like people don't recognize just how much it can change everything for a camper. And so I'm warmed by the stories of campers like Theo who had this life-changing experience, and it really did spread into every aspect of their life afterwards and long after camp continued to be a part of their lives. And also, camp very rarely stops being a part of your life. I'm a good example. I just feel like as soon as I learned about Austin Sunshine Camps, as soon as I learned about this opportunity to be involved in the mission of camp, I just can't get enough of it. It has this way of like taking over your life. I'm really honored to be able to do that.
I just love everything that camp offers. It's one of those things you need to experience it if you haven't.
You do.
And we'll talk about how listeners can get chances for bragging rights, because that's where I think they can actually experience it as a volunteer.
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to hear a little bit about you.
Okay.
So I make us say what I call a good brag, and it's a way for people to talk about some good that they've been doing to inspire others. David, can you share one?
I mentioned a little bit about how I first got connected to Austin Sunshine Camps. I really first got connected to ASC through the Young Men's Business League. And I was looking for an opportunity not just to get involved in a nonprofit, because I've been in the nonprofit space for a long time. I worked for another nonprofit at the time, and I was like, I want more of that. And so I joined the Young Men's Business League for a chance to connect with fellow professionals in Austin, but also just make a difference in my community, to create a space where people like me can learn, grow, connect, and try to make a difference in Austin. And so I spend so much of my time still investing in that organization. I have the pleasure of serving as the president of YMBL this year, and I'm really grateful that I can do that in a way where I'm still supporting this cause that I care so much about, Austin Sunshine Camps, but they also feel like two totally separate things for me, because while I'm supporting ASC, I'm supporting our campers, I'm finding ways to continue to grow and further the mission of ASC and find ways to reach new campers. Investing in the Young Men's Business League also, to me, looks like finding people like myself, professionals in Austin, who are looking for an opportunity to even explore what philanthropy is, what giving back is, what being a contributing member of their community is. Many people don't have that chance. They never got the taste for it. They didn't volunteer. Maybe they volunteered because they had to at some point, but they've never really unlocked the part of themselves that explores making an impact. And so I get to do that. I get to see my peers do that. I get to lead an organization that does that and creates the next generation of philanthropic, community-minded leaders.
Courtney and I have talked, is it an issue if you go into some of these things from a self-serving perspective? We both say no, because what happens is maybe you join a league because you're thinking, oh, business connections or something. There's maybe a self-serving side to it. And then you get told you have to go volunteer. And then you realize this is amazing. So we say step in however you want. At the end of the day, you give back, and I think you feel good about it. This show, I have a formula to it. We've been going without even like a transition, which I love. Volunteering is probably the most exciting way to give back to ASC. 18 or older, also high schoolers with parents or guardians can also volunteer. And then the time of need is typically June and July when you're running.
Yeah, that's right. Primarily in the evenings as well. We have counselors in training that are running most of the programming for camp throughout the summer session. But in the evenings, when they have their evening activities, those look like game nights, canoe night, carnival night. Again, night at the end of each one because they're happening after work. But then we also have volunteer opportunities at our Lake Travis camp, which a little bit further out, it's in Marble Falls in the Turkey Bend recreation area. And those are with our older campers. So our campers 12 to 15 are out at Lake Travis. And it's just so rewarding to be able to see these campers again, who maybe even a few days ago didn't know each other at all, and see them dig in and root each other on and encourage each other. It's incredibly uplifting. And counselors and volunteers that are there are participating too. So it feels like you're at camp. It feels like you're getting to have that camp experience. I can't encourage people to show up to camp and volunteer at camp enough, because we're dealing with campers, because there's just a lot that you need to know to make sure that you are showing up in the right way. There is a couple hour long volunteer training that's required for anyone who's wanting to be at camp while campers are there. And so those trainings are happening now. If anyone goes to austinsunshinecamps.org, you can see all of our upcoming volunteer opportunities. Not all of them require training. So as we lead into camp, helping us turn over our lodge in Zilker Park to be ready for camp, helping us write letters to campers or even call campers' families, those things don't require volunteer training. All the fun ones do?
Jaden and I, my son, did the training already. So we'll be there this
Great.
summer. I'm really looking forward to it. It's just a quick evening, go get it done, and then you are free to volunteer.
And then you're free to volunteer for pretty much forever. And I mean, I did it one time and now I just get to show up to camp all the time.
You've already touched on it a little bit with YMBL and the Austin Sunshine Run, but just before we go, maybe reminding what that is.
Most of our engagement opportunities are focused on the summer, but again, we have a number of things leading up to it that are just a really fun way to get involved with camp without necessarily being at camp while camp is in session. And one of those that's upcoming is the Austin Sunshine Run. So that's coming up on May 4th. That is a 5K, a 10K, a kids K, and again, the fastest dog in Austin race. It's a big event where the Austin community shows up to support ASC through this run. We need volunteers, we need runners, we need companies to participate in the expo that happens afterwards. And so at austinsunshinerun.org, you can sign up to run. It starts at $50, but even if you're not in the Austin area and you still want to run and support Austin Sunshine Camps, there's also a virtual run option, which is even cheaper. That's probably the easiest way to come out and support ASC while also getting a chance to meet people that make ASC happen. All of our staff will be there. I will be there. Many of our counselors will be there. And again, like for people who love to run or for people who maybe just want an opportunity to try or see how fast their dog is, it's presented by Tomlinson's. So nice local company supporting that effort. But then the Sunshine Run itself is actually presented by HEB. We love HEB. They support us in a number of ways. They sponsor the Sunshine Run. They also provide a lot of the food that we are able to serve campers over the summer at no cost to us. But Sunshine Run coming up May 4th, really encourage people to register to run. It's a really good time. You can see how fast you are. You can see how fast your dog is. And again, all of the proceeds from that go to Austin Sunshine Camps.
Volunteer, donate, go for a run.
Yeah, volunteer, donate, go for a run, show up to camp, all the fun things that you get to do.
Well, David, this has been fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Hey, listeners. I hope you're smiling like I am right now because talking with David Roberts from Austin Sunshine Camps takes me back. I was lucky enough to go to camp as a kid. I still remember the cabins, the smell of sunscreen, bug spray, and the thrill of being out of routine. You become someone a little braver, a little weirder in the best way. You climb walls, you laugh with people you've only just met, you get homesick, and then you don't because suddenly you belong somewhere. Camp has that kind of magic, and Austin Sunshine Camps is making sure that magic isn't reserved for kids whose parents can afford it. It's the only camp in the country that provides a 100% free American Camp Association accredited overnight camp, and it's not cutting corners. We're talking 10 days, 9 nights, 2 beautiful Central Texas locations, full programming, and life-changing outcomes. Now, compare that to our topic that mattered, where Courtney and I discussed celebrity foundations, you know, where there's big names, big galas, glossy marketing, and sometimes, yes, they're doing great work, but sometimes it's also hard to tell. You click through the website and suddenly you're like, wait, what do they actually do? And then there's nonprofits like Austin Sunshine Camps. And specifically, ASC doesn't do any galas. There's no red carpet, no PR team, just real people putting in real work year after year so that kids in Central Texas can have a summer full of joy, confidence, and freedom. This is grassroots, community-rooted, outcome-driven nonprofit work, and it deserves so much attention for the good that they're doing. And you can help. The kids, as David mentioned, over 90% qualify for free or reduced lunch. Nearly half of them come from families earning less than $30,000 a year. Many are in foster care. Some have never spent a night away from home. So for them, this isn't just summer fun, it's freedom, it's confidence. It may be the first time they've been told, you belong here. I loved where David shared Theo's story, a once hesitant camper who didn't even think he could last a full session. Fast forward a few years later, and now as a counselor in training, he's someone who's become someone who makes it easier for someone else. Now, if you never got to experience camp as a kid, maybe this is your moment. Skip your next work happy hour, log off Netflix for one night, and go volunteer. Just once, and you'll see what the buzz is all about. So here's how you can earn your bragging rights. The most fun way, again, volunteer. Most of your help is needed in June and July, but make sure to go get that quick training session in. Register for the Sunshine Run. It's coming up May 4th. Run, walk, or see if your pup can claim fastest dog in Austin. All proceeds benefit camp. Become a Sunshine Keeper. Just $1,500 funds one camper. You can give monthly, annually, anything helps. Spread the word, post your support with #GoodBrag, tag us, and you might just win Texas Stars hockey tickets because Texas Stars rewards those that give back. Big, huge thanks to David and the Awesome Sunshine Camps team for giving us a glimpse into the magic. And special thanks to Nightlight Insurance for making this podcast possible, Todd Thompson for editing and mixing, Graham Thompson and Jaden Dyer for the music, Corey McCain at Just Push Record Studios, and Ashlyn O'Neill for digital content management. Next week, we're escaping into Austin Baptist Chapel, also known as Angel House Soup Kitchen. It's a no-frills nonprofit run by people who live out their faith every day. No fundraising, no flash, just 363 days a year of showing up and serving. Can't wait for you to hear it. Until then, go be someone's Camp Magic and join us next week as we escape into a cause.